It's time for another edition of Singles Only Podcast. My name is Paul Farahvar. I'm your host. We are doing this one live in a plexiglass studio. By studio, I mean my front room. And we actually have a voice of reason during these times. Patti Vasquez.
Hello. I'm just going through your reading material
Yeah.
that you've left for me, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
And a lot of
There's a lot of dating material someone sent to me, thinking that we talk about those issues on the podcast. Which we don't. Human sexuality. There's all kinds of crazy books that people are. Everyone's cleaning out their houses right now.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Myself included. But yes.
Are you doing emotional cleaning or just only clutter?
No, I'm still in denial about all my emotions. That's what we do.
Fair
here.
enough. Yeah, that's true.
That's what we do here on the podcast. Patty, you're doing okay?
I'm doing, yeah, I'm
Ups
sure.
and downs?
If you keep saying it, maybe I'm
How about now?
I'm trying to manifest okay.
Well, we have an interesting guest tonight. This is a situation where I continually cock-block myself because I don't care. I like to. People always say I don't talk enough about my shit's not out there, but I feel like it is.
I would say.
Yeah, I think
quite a
it
bit
is.
out there, sure.
It's pretty out. Our guest today is Esthetician Kelly Harpe. Did I say that right?
Just Harpe.
Oh, great. Why did I say? Look at this is how nervous I am.
Yeah, that borders on it's not just insulting that you got the name wrong.
Oh, it's even better.
Oh, it's
Harpe
even
is-
better. He completely called me by the wrong last name 2 days ago, and I was like, you know that's not my last name, right?
In my defense, it was your prior last
It
name.
was my maiden name.
Yeah, that's how you are in my phone.
See, Harpe is a name that people use to become something, or actually it's just an insult to women that were basically bitchy. Or
Harpe?
Harpe.
Oh, well, that's probably why you don't have that as your last name.
It is my well.
Well, Harpe. Yeah,
Harpe.
but it's spelled anyway. I digress. The reason why you get to be on this podcast is you have first of all, you have a great backstory on dating and a lot of insight and stuff. But we actually spent some time dating in the world when there was a pandemic, which there still is.
Oh, you dated during the pandemic,
Oh,
so this is
briefly.
recent. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we met. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were talking before the pandemic. I was in Florida,
Yes.
and then everything shut down. Like, should we at least meet in person?
No, we met once before, like 3 days before the world shut down.
Okay.
Okay, let's go back a second then.
Yes.
Let me
Yeah, yeah,
questions. I got questions.
Sure.
Okay, so how did you connect?
On the app, on the dating app
Hinge.
Hinge. Yeah.
You were on Hinge, which is, by the way, one of Paul's favorites.
I like it.
Yes, he likes. It's because now, for those who aren't familiar, as like someone like me,
Mhm,
out of
the
the
voice of
dating
reason.
world for 25 years. So this is something where it kind of takes your friends of friends.
No, that's what we thought. And when we had Joe Kozala on the show, he explained to us that they changed the logarithm. So now it used to be like a Hinge would be like you'd have a connection, but then you were like matching with your ex's best friend.
Oh right, it
This is
became
stupid.
problematic, incestuous even.
Right. So they changed that, and then what I like about it, and Kelly, you described it, gives all the information about the person. So you know their political backgrounds, their religious views, like what their drug use and alcohol intake is, and desire for children if they have children. Everything is out there. There's no secrets.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but the major things are out there.
The major thing. There are no secrets. Yes.
So you connect on Hinge, and so you start texting or messaging each other,
Yes.
and you meet once before the shutdown.
Yeah, and I actually was, I think, one of the few people that can say I dated monogamous Paul.
Well,
Because it was COVID.
jury's out on that. Yeah. But yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
You mean the truth? I don't know about jury.
Well, the point is that we had a time frame. Well,
Where
we'll talk.
and it wasn't because we wanted to be monogamous. It was because we were shortening our circle.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know what the virus was at that point.
It was the beginning where
Yeah.
everything was
Everything was freaking out, and we were like, "Listen, if we're gonna do this, like,
These
let's
are the
be
rules.
safe about it."
Right.
But we weren't exclusive, like, "Hey, you're my boyfriend now."
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was more like, "Hey, let's try not to kill each other with this virus."
Yes.
And also have a space where we can be physical
A bubble,
and
if you will.
enjoy. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
A comfort bubble.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was still uncomfortable too, because already because of the apps, and we talked about this when you're in a position with the pandemic, everything's closed. So you have to go as a woman or a man to some stranger's house. And you had to like come over. I'm like, this is gonna be weird, right? I'm like, here's all my information. I like said, here's my social security, call your friends so you know where you are.
I literally
Here's my
got two
address.
friends GPS, I was on their GPS that night, and I was like, just
Sure,
let you
that's
know,
smart, yeah.
I'm going to this dude's house, so if I disappear, this
Check
is his
it out,
address, this
yeah.
is his name, he's, you know, some people know him in Chicago, so make sure my parents know his name so they can sue him for everything he's worth if I end up.
And his parents, right?
Yes.
His parents,
Yeah.
yes, and my
I think I
parents
gave
know
you
him.
my parents, I'm like, here I am, well, we were friends on Facebook already,
But,
so like.
and you're giving all this information over with the assumption that you can also trust Kelly.
Yeah, right,
Yes.
I already, before
Because,
I,
yeah, but I mean,
well, no, I'm very,
it's underestimating that, you know, where women can come from as well.
sure, absolutely, that's why I said it up top.
Luckily, I'm a decent person.
Well, Jerry's
And
not.
luckily,
No, I'm just kidding. But,
Jerry's
but,
still up.
but I always do research before, and we've talked about it on the podcast where I do too much research. I'm like, I need to see your Instagram, like, make sure you're like, because there's surprises, even when you're on Hinge. But like 3 days later, you find out, like, you're like, oh, you think the Holocaust was fake, or some crazy shit. Not you, Kelly, I'm saying in general. But,
No, I know it happened.
Deal breakers that
Yeah,
you should have known
right.
about from the get-go.
But that, you can get that stuff by being friends with people on Instagram and Facebook. Some people are like, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on Facebook. I'm like, that's weird, but okay. Some people are private. So,
My
that's,
husband, have I ever told you? I told you my husband has none. Like
Yeah.
people like have him, what's his face? I'm like,
right.
no, there's
Well,
none.
that's different because he's, he's
He
not,
does exist. Stop.
Yes.
Stop it.
allegedly. No, I've met him,
And I
since he's
started-
a real person.
And I started sharing videos and photos of him.
Yes,
Yes.
recently.
Anyway, so this
Political Patty did, yes.
she had to come on. So this is, we're talking about March, when all of this starts.
Yeah. Well, we met in February, and then, we were
No.
talking, because I was in Florida.
Yes.
Right, okay, so maybe, and whatever, it's fine. Go on.
Okay, so you
You're
connected-
single now, Kelly, let's get that out.
I am single now.
Yes.
Yes.
So now, so you are in the rearview mirror as far as a
Yeah.
relationship goes.
But
But you're friends clearly.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
But,
Yeah,
and she,
because that's Paul's MO, is, yeah.
well, initially there was some turmoil, I believe. You tell me, I thought you were upset with me. We had a
Well,
couple situations
We
arise.
had some rules when the world started opening back up.
Yes,
And the
what was the
rules
rule?
Listen,
were,
you're getting ahead of things. You're getting ahead of things from where the world opens up because we're still in the pandemic.
Well, it opened up briefly, there was a window
summer.
in the
In
summer.
the summer, right, so let's go back, we're still going back to March.
Okay,
So when you first meet, so you're going back and forth, what was it about the messaging with Paul that made you think, oh, I should meet this guy?
it's hilarious. Oh,
that's
that's,
exactly it. He's hilarious.
Okay.
I mean, he's funny, he is charming, that's part of his MO, I believe, though. And at that point in my life, I just wanted somebody that could make me smile and laugh and have a great time with, and that's Paul.
aw.
Oh, look at that, and
That's the
then
nicest
things
thing.
changed.
And then the world,
You're like, oh, fresh air.
and
Okay.
then the world opened up to other opportunities for it. No, go ahead, so what were you saying?
So,
the-
but the messaging back and forth was, he was enchanting that way.
Yeah, I mean, he could hold a conversation, you know, with online dating, it's horrific, first off. And you meet people that cannot hold a conversation, cannot ask, they're like, hi, how was your day? I'm like, it's great, how was yours? And I
Super
literally
slow.
respond with that. If you're gonna ask me that boring of a question, I'm gonna ask you that boring of a question back. Like, be interesting. Paul's an interesting person.
On paper, I'm very interested.
On paper.
And digitally, go ahead, Paul, you have questions.
But also, how were you back then before the pandemic? Were you exclusively meeting people online, or were you also because you have an interesting schedule where you travel more than
Yeah, I travel more
comedians.
than you, yes, yes, I
How's
travel.
that possible?
So I work for a large skincare company and I am an educator for that. So a sales rep goes in, sells them the product, sells them the service. I go in and actually train the staff. So I cover the whole Midwest and East Coast. And for some large key accounts, I travel the whole country.
Okay, so you,
Before the pandemic.
so,
Before the pandemic.
so,
And since the
Right.
summer.
and where are your products carried? Are they in department stores or like in more in?
Derm
yeah.
offices, many spas. We do have an account with Nordstrom's and a very, very select few high-end Nordstrom accounts.
Okay.
And that's actually who I'm a key account.
And your key demographic is women.
Yes.
So you're around women all the time.
All the time.
You travel all the time.
All the time.
So you literally can only meet men where?
Online.
Right.
That's it.
I mean, what about at the hotels where you ever meeting guys at the hotel bars and stuff like that?
Well, okay, so going back to some of the rules we had, was I don't need a disease, I don't need an STD. So I'm not a huge fan of hooking up with somebody in the hotel. And I see it all the time, and it's very entertaining. Sitting at the hotel bar, I'm like, this is going to be my entertainment tonight. I have my glass of wine and watch these two married people hook up. And
Not with each other. Not with
me,
No,
with
no,
each
no.
other.
Right, not
married
with
to
their
other people.
other people.
Yeah.
Oh, married to other people,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Initiating an affair.
That's right.
And I just don't need to be a part of that drama. I try to live a drama-free life. Paul was like, are you sure you want to like be on the podcast? Because I'm actually a very private person.
Yeah.
So I'm going outside my comfort zone right now.
That's fine.
But so for me, it's just not something that I'm interested in. It's hooking up on the road. And I don't need my drama out there.
And you were also married before too.
I was. I've been divorced for 7 years now. So.
And where are you from originally?
Gurney, Illinois.
Hey!
The northern suburbs.
And where did you meet your ex-husband?
Work.
At work?
Yes, before I was an esthetician, I actually worked for a large rental car company, and he started out being my boss, and then I became his boss.
Which is
Oh.
kind of yeah. Shouldn't date at work, but that's a whole other story. So you were in a marriage,
Yes.
and you now agree that marriage is an outdated institution, correct? You
I
see
feel
how
like you've had this conversation.
We have.
Yes.
I don't know.
We
I don't
have.
know how she believes that.
I
I'm just trying to push
wouldn't
that.
say an outdated institution, but I definitely agree that you need to re-up your contract every once in a while. I'm not a huge fan of it.
That's the whole concept I've been selling for years.
I feel differently than you do. I do it because of the legal ramifications. It is a legal binding contract, and I think 90% of the society today does not realize what that legal binding contract does. I do. I still have the debt from my divorce. And I've been divorced for 7 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's a crazy thing.
Well, I also think, by the way, since I've had so much time to myself and not be out in public with people, I'm over the wedding culture. I think the wedding culture needs to be minimized and just like, it is, because it makes people crazy. It's insane.
Well, it adds another level of being the inability to walk away because you've made this huge production, literally about an event, and then if you like decide, okay, well, maybe we made a mistake.
Well, I mean, I'm always up for a good party, but I don't need to.
Right, it's a huge party to celebrate outdated institutions.
Well, and
we all agree.
you just mentioned your debt from your divorce, and imagine if people saved the $5,000 to $100,000 and put it into property or
Down
investments.
payment, yes.
Yes.
401k.
Yeah, then I just think it's more shrewd. We can talk about my wedding all day long. I still think $10,000 was too much, but we had.
Well, people are getting married during the pandemic now, which is great because now you have a great excuse to not have a huge wedding.
I also think that the wedding industry is going to be huge after things open up again.
Yeah.
People are going to go crazy. Yeah.
Good.
But at any rate, so we were after your divorce, in which you were still paying off.
Well, not the wedding, but
Not the wedding, the divorce.
Divorce.
the debt that I incurred because of the divorce.
And the emotional turmoil.
Well,
Because-
there's that too.
I'm just-
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is because you start paying for the attorneys, and then you start accruing debt for other reasons. You have to move. You have to figure all those other things out. So over those 7 years, when did you become an esthetician? During
During my marriage, yeah.
Okay.
I will say that was the nice. If I could say one nice thing about my ex-husband, he let me quit my job where I made a lot of money and supported me while I was in school full time. So thanks for that.
To pursue your passion.
But
Yes.
but she also, you're very good about the language because he let her.
Mhm.
Gives me an idea of how bad things must have been.
Yeah.
The let part is significant. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we all agree that women should. No, I'm not even going to go there.
No.
It's not petty. No, I was just making it.
No, I know.
But I agree.
But how long did it take for you to start trying to like build relationships or connect with people after your marriage?
I think right after my marriage, I got into, I think, an even worse relationship where I walked in on a person in my bed with another woman. And he stole all of my settlement from my divorce. And he's still out there now, guys. Run away from anybody named Josh. Anybody named Josh?
Just
run away.
Josh.
Shout out to Josh.
Or Joshes. I also knew Joshes. I also know some bad ones, but yes.
The one that starts with, last name starts
Stop.
with
I like Josh Charles and I love Josh Molina, so those are.
So I think I was just emotionally drained and just latched onto the first thing that I did after my divorce, and unfortunately it was that person.
How long was that relationship?
A year,
Okay.
yes.
Wow.
Just under a year. Maybe.
Sure.
I don't remember.
I mean, it would have kept
I did
going.
this 6 years ago, so.
It would have kept going if you didn't walk in.
How did you?
Correct. You were caught off guard.
No, I mean, things were bad at that point,
Okay.
but that was definitely, it was a girl that he worked with and I knew her and she knew who I was, and I think that was the even worse betrayal behind it, was that this woman knew, and I was like, alright, that sucks.
Yeah.
But I learned really good life lessons from it, made me a stronger person,
Sure.
definitely didn't get into anything, and I've been single for a very long time. I mean, my last real relationship was 2-3 years ago. That was a significant amount of time.
Right. Well, after this guy, what was your next relationship? How long in between before were you single for like a while before that next relationship? Okay.
At least 2 years,
And
or
then-
a year, something like that.
How long was that next one?
A year.
And how'd you meet that guy?
Bumble.
Okay. Also, we're now in the Bumble era. Okay.
We're in the Bumble era now,
Okay.
yes.
That's a long time for a relationship on online.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Bumble's a little more than. Did you ever do the Tinder app?
Never did the Tinder.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
more. It's going back and forth. And then after Bumble guy, you started dating online more, I assume.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that was my life. That was 2-3 years ago, and I'm just living the single life.
Yeah.
But I travel so much now, and that's the biggest thing that I think has put a damper in my dating life is, I'm on the road. And, it always gets to a point where a guy's like, hey, you're really not around that much. And I said, well, my job's never broken my heart.
There you go.
But you also, that's something you're pursuing. And it's similar to the comedians we've had on the show, right? Where it's like comedy takes a priority. You became an esthetician because it's your passion and you're traveling. You're physically unavailable to date people because of that.
By the way, for anyone wondering, she has stunning skin.
Thank you.
It's like one of those things when you have an aerobics instructor and you're like, really? You're going to be the one that told me how to keep fit? No, you
Yeah.
Thank you.
She has all that. She has access to the greatest products. She's gotten me some stuff too that's apparently worked.
Yes, yes.
Well, obviously I'm not using them
Does it
anymore.
make-
so they are.
Does it make it crazy how much men don't have any regard for their skin?
Yes,
It does. It makes me crazy.
absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But
I guess looking.
No, because you're the man in the room. But
Sure.
because literally when we first started dating,
I know.
I gave you skincare products, and I was like, please, almighty God, please use these.
Yeah.
You're on social media as much as I am. I have a very active social media for my company, so you kind of have to look the part, right? So
Right.
please use this scrub on your face.
Okay, so we flash forward to going on the dating apps. You were meeting guys that way before the pandemic, and then I slipped into your life.
You
through
slipped
that
into
life.
my life for sure.
And I knocked out the other suitors
He
because
slides
of my
into
charm.
DMs.
No, there was no DMs at that point. We were still talking on Hinge, and then I think
Right.
we went to text. But
When you were traveling before the pandemic hit, were you using, because I know that Paul does this, he has sort of someone in every port, not in every port, but he
different
might,
locations.
Yes.
Girlfriends in every city.
relations, or when you land, or ahead of time. Do you do it ahead of time? You're like,
No,
let's see.
well, I
Let's see
used
how
to. I think there was a way to do it, but I'm just too lazy now.
So would you use the apps like while you were traveling in other cities to see if, no?
No, because I wasn't really interested in that having somebody in every city. That's not who I am. I would rather have something solid at home that I can just rely on. Like I don't need to think about it when I'm on the road, and I can just come home to that and take out all my frustrations on that person.
Okay, on paper, you two are a really good couple.
Yeah, it sounded like a good deal. It sounded like a good deal.
I'm
and
just
then,
saying, I mean, aside from the, like,
But we had rules, and
Uh-huh.
somebody broke the rules.
Right.
And
Okay.
it wasn't me.
okay, now we're in the thick of it. So so you guys start, you meet, and so what was it about Paul? After now you
Charm, we talked
the
about this.
messaging was enchanting.
Mhm.
So now in person, what did you think when you first saw Paul?
I mean, when I first saw him,
Yeah.
Pictures were
I mean, no, in
the
person.
pictures were accurate.
Okay.
Well, because a lot of people, and
Yes,
I talked about
we
this
talk
on the
about a lot,
podcast, people put their best pictures forward, and I actually redid your pictures for your
One,
app.
you told me I had to put a full
Yeah.
body picture.
Well, I also think that you have pictures that don't, it's,
You're beautiful.
yeah, you're
Oh,
very
yeah.
So,
pretty.
yeah, your photos should definitely.
But I also like when
I
people
have been
put,
told a lot that I look hotter in person. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not a compliment.
I'll take a look as well.
but the reason why that's a good thing to do is because the first impression is, oh, you look like your picture. Not only do you look like your picture, but you're probably better in person. Like that's what you want to have happen, because that's the first impression. Whereas you go on these dates with guys or girls who have like their best picture, and then of course they're not gonna look the same. Like I have a picture of me on the podcast or on my apps from when the Cubs won in Game 7, and I'm like just going crazy. It's just happy, but it's not like the most greatest picture of me, but it's accurate.
But it shows that you're like a fun-loving guy, and you're like, "Yay, go Cubs!" And
Right.
if you're a Cubs fan like me, I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. He
Yeah.
was there. I'm kind of jealous."
I was there. Great
And he has a little dry, I would say dry whimsy is the way I would describe it.
What's that mean?
Dry, so you're whimsical, you find the mirth in things, but with
Just
the,
using another big word. You use the mirth in the birth. Like, it's like, it's not a fucking thesaurus. Tell
okay,
me what you're
anyway,
saying.
there's joy in what you do.
Yes,
Yes.
I find
And
joy
we
in
both
But-
have joy and passion in what we do, and I think that's something that we both liked about each other
independent
and do.
people, yeah.
I mean, we literally, during the pandemic, I had a bunch of huge projects. He was working on new comedy, and we would sit on his couch and not even talk to each other and be in our
It's
laptops.
comfort.
And be okay with that.
And be absolutely.
Silence is so important.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know if
good.
people
It really
understand,
is.
yeah, okay. So your first impression of Paul is the photos are accurate. Okay, so that, I mean, it's not a resounding appreciation, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a ringing
okay.
endorsement by any
Yeah.
means, but yeah.
So he clears the first bar.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And so you had to come here.
Yes.
And what was that first, what was, did Paul order? He had to have ordered out. I'm gonna guess.
We got food, yeah. Yeah, I don't cook.
I
Yeah.
don't think we
He
got
doesn't-
food.
Yeah, we did. We got something. I mean, we have food a lot.
We order food a lot. We've both discovered how much I love the soup from Golden Apple. And every time even
Oh.
as friends, I'm like, can we get
How is this
some
not
Golden
perfect?
Apple?
I don't understand what
Well, I
happened.
introduced her to the Golden Apple. So.
Oh, yeah, that's not Paul's favorite.
No, so here's
Well,
what
that's
he
when we're
said.
opening
We
it.
had rules, and the rules were.
Your rules. Go
So
ahead.
things are going along
Then
well.
you agreed to the
Let's
rules.
hear
Okay,
it.
hold
I
on
wanna
a
see
second. So
what-
things are going along well, but when do the rules, when were they
In March.
established?
Sure.
In March when it
Things
opened
started
back.
opening up again. in
No,
April.
not, yeah, well, no,
Right.
it was like May, June-ish.
I think my first show is back on the road. for
Okay,
May.
so from
Yeah.
March until May, June-ish, you are enjoying the silence together, you're enjoying soup from
Yeah,
the Golden
sure.
Apple.
Yeah.
Things are going well, and the rules are established in
The
May,
rules,
June-ish.
we had a proximity rule of mileage to other people we could see. Could
69,
be
we thought was funny.
69 miles away.
It is funny, and also
I feel
I'm
that.
uncomfortable, but go ahead.
And
Okay.
what was the other thing?
Not dating anybody in my industry, which is
That's
the
right.
one he broke.
That should be really fucking easy.
You would think,
Like
yeah.
I know maybe now I know Kelly. I know I can't name
I know a lot of people, it turns out, that are in the esthetician world. Because she's a
Stop.
educator.
No, I don't.
So
I'm not.
she's
La, la,
teaching
la,
all
la,
of
la,
them.
la, 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 la. Okay, so you have a
What?
69-mile radius rule, but also not in your industry. I'm sorry, but like,
Seems easy enough.
no,
That was the
apparently.
rule he broke.
Holy shit.
Not the mileage.
In Minnesota, it was one of my first.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
vacations.
Well, we were already on the outs at that
We-
point.
yeah.
We already kind of like
But
figured out
that
it
put the
wasn't
nail in
working.
the coffin.
So the rules, you created the rules, and I was like, we'll see how that goes. And then,
Was he like that when you said here are the rules?
yeah, I never committed to them. I never put them in writing or anything like that.
Well,
But I was like,
I
let's
should
see
have
how it
gotten
goes.
a writing
Yeah.
lawyer.
But the funniest thing is that, I ended up breaking. Oh, I didn't like do anything, but it was definitely like a question.
Was there a point where, here's my question, did you know while you were breaking the rule that you were breaking the rule?
No, I didn't know the person that well, and it was a situation where I was like, oh, that's hilarious, because
It was
someone
funny.
that
We were both laughing.
we were
about it.
laughing about it
I
because
wasn't like, I'm not an
Yeah,
angry
she wasn't
person. It's funny
I
because
am.
you actually said this to me the other day. You were like, you have crazy energy, but you're not crazy. Because I called him and was like, you dick. Like,
Yeah.
You really
she's like,
couldn't
who's this? And then I showed her the text. I'm like, it was someone I met on one of the apps in like a different city, and it was like, it turns out to be they do the same thing, or you work with her coworker or something.
So
like that.
a girl that she knew, and she also was an esthetician. So they were like colleagues, whatever. And I don't know how we got on the subject of it, but somehow she was
This
like,
is
"Oh,
awesome.
have you like dated anybody during COVID?" And I was like, "Actually, I was like hanging out with this comedian in Chicago." And before I could
Past
even
tense.
say
Yeah, go ahead.
his name, she's like, "Oh, Paul Farahvar." I swear to God,
Difference
Paul Farahvar.
hundreds of miles away from
Yes,
her.
I'm in
Without
Minnesota.
naming this- Oh yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So that's what
I'm sorry, my silence, everybody, is looking at them with, I can't comprehend this, so you're, I can't.
Anyway,
At what
Well,
point did you find out
so-
that this woman was an esthetician?
after Kelly had texted me, I figured it out. I didn't know what
So
she
you
did.
didn't
I
know?
mean, I kind of knew, but I was like,
What did she say, what did you kind
I
of know
thought-
she did?
well, first of all, as you know, I'm not very good at people's jobs. I don't
He
understand.
really, there is, like, you have to know that there's an information absorption. Like, he hates that I can't name a song or a musician.
Yes.
Like, I can't hear music. But Paul's absorption, like, but here's the thing, it's not that it's not deliberate. It is, and once he gets it, he definitely imprints it. But you have to do it over and over.
Like I don't know
I
jobs.
have kind of a weird job because yes, I'm an esthetician, but I'm an educator. So I'm the one that's going in and I'm teaching. I go to schools. I go to aesthetic schools across the country. I go to spas across the country. And so I have a very unique job. So he probably did it in your defense, which I don't know why I'm defending you.
Well, because I'm going to come and defend it. Because if he didn't know.
Well, no. Also,
what did someone say she did?
Well, first of all, here two things. First of all, the job thing. To be fair, like I have my best friends from since I was a child that I don't understand what they do. They explain it to me like one of them does like for years I thought one of my closest friends was an accountant, but he does consulting, which is not the same thing apparently. I'm not good at job situations. But that being said,
I agree with I can attest to this. Go ahead.
So an esthetician.
Paul's kind of one of those guys like, can't you do this? Can't you just do this? Can't you just, you know what I mean? Like where it isn't quite grasped.
I have to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah,
so I
it's
so
exhausting.
even when yes, I saw
Does
you.
he ask questions all the time? And I'm saying all the time.
Yeah, I'm always curious. But I have to even ask him like, how do I introduce you on the show? Because I want to make sure that it's the right job title. Because there's cosmetology, like there's different things that are to me the same, but they're not.
Yeah,
obviously.
but
it's
like
that's
like a care, even like like women who do that.
Oh, I understand now.
Okay.
Trust me, I've been learning a lot. But anyway, at this time, to be fair, we were already on the outs. You were already dating.
Oh, so before he dates in the industry.
Yes.
What happens before that, where you were?
I mean, he just kind of turned into going to every town, hooking up with whoever Paul, and I was like, I'm just not really cool with that.
Well, I didn't do it, but I explained the situation, which was that I don't want to feel guilty if I do meet somebody that I want to have a connection with, not even physically, whatever. But in my defense, I was always honest about it.
You were 100% always honest.
Did you ever
and I actually really appreciate that because especially with
Why waste your
online
time?
dating,
Yeah.
yes. And with online dating, it's very easy to lie and it's very easy to put on a fake persona, which is the next guy that I dated very much lied and put on a fake persona and pretended to be somebody completely different. So
that's when we became friends again because she said,
yes.
Paul's actually got a point here. But go ahead, tell your story, Kelly.
So I started dating somebody else and he actually was taking photos of my dog and sending them to other girls pretending that it was his dog.
No!
Oh, it gets better.
I'm sorry, I'm turning away because I can't, one of them like it.
Oh, yeah.
So
It gets better. This guy's a douchebag in Kelly's defense.
Jeez.
For what she does next.
I'm
Because
so
you caught on to the fact that he was texting with someone, right?
Oh, yeah.
While you guys are together.
We're 1,000%.
In the same room. Are you in the same room?
It's her house with her
Yes.
fucking dog.
Yes. 1,000%.
So he was texting, and then did you say, who are you texting? Or like what
It
happened?
was actually Halloween and
You
we
saw
were
a
at a
picture of your
bar.
dog. Yeah.
Well, we were at a bar and he got a text and he looked at his phone really weird and I said, then he started smiling while texting. And I was like, who's this person? And he said, oh, it's my best friend. He wants us to come over to a bonfire tonight. And the phone number is not saved in his phone. Like I can tell, like I'm not an idiot. I'm sitting right next to you. I can clearly see that the phone number is not saved in
He
his
said
phone.
it was his best friend?
Best friend.
Someone you knew also?
Yes,
You had met?
Yes.
So did
Jackass.
he have the bonfire story in his pocket for just in case?
Well, here's the best thing is, so then of course I go into his phone the next morning because
Obviously.
his passcode is his birthday, so you're an idiot. You didn't want a woman breaking into your phone after you blatantly lied to her the night before.
Well, two problems. Number one, weren't you like, what did you say? Like, oh yeah, let's go to the, what if you were like, yeah, let's go to the bonfire?
I actually did say that
What did he
because
say?
I was trying to catch him up and he's like, I'm not in the mood. I had a bad day yesterday.
So you call him on the bluff.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
What a dummy.
Nice.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was, and I'm looking at it, and it's written all over his face that he's lying. Like, I'm a 37-year-old divorced woman. I can tell when somebody's lying to me. And I'm like, you're so full of it.
And the number's not saved.
The number's not
Did you say that to him? Like, oh, you don't save your best friend's number? Or were you like, in your head, you're like, I'm going to figure this shit out later?
I'm going to figure this shit out
Okay,
later.
fair.
So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you do?
I almost have, well, it depends on how emotionally invested I am in the relationship.
Sure.
Like, so you went home with it, like, you were pretty sure he lied. I wasn't 100% sure.
Oh, yeah.
He lied. But you still went home with him. and then wanted to check his phone the next day.
Well, first off, there wasn't even a point where he could leave because he was already highly intoxicated by that.
Oh,
And he lives in a different city or
And he
something.
lived in Northbrook.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, you're gonna have to like crash at my house regardless.
okay.
And he was up until like 3 o'clock in the morning drinking by himself, where I'm like, I'm not going to bed.
Oh, so he's texting.
So
me
we didn't
before
even
and
sleep in the
after
same
morning.
bedroom that night. Like I shut
Jesus.
my bedroom door and locked it, and he slept on the couch. So then when I woke up the next morning, and his cell phone had a ton of text messages on it, and I was like, all right, what's going on? Open it up, and sure enough, here he is talking to multiple people on Bumble. Multiple people on
Bumble. Oh, it wasn't even text messaging too. So
So
someone
it got
text-
to the point that was text message, because one girl was like, so I just want to make sure that you're not some weirdo that like has a secret wife. And so I texted her, and he was like, well, he does have a secret girlfriend, but not for much longer if you want him.
Oh, wow. So, okay.
Mic drop.
Nice, yeah, done.
Yeah.
But so let me go back a second then. So when you're with Paul, Paul's just here with you. He's not distracted by other messaging, you know, like.
No, not
Okay.
that,
It's a
no.
pandemic.
It was a pandemic.
Yeah, but you could still be like on the apps and
Sure.
whatever.
I'm not in front of me.
I'm saying the other guy was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, he was text messaging, so he must have given this girl his phone number before he was hanging out with me that day, and then she just texted
And then he
me
sends
while
a
we were
picture of
in the
your
car.
dog.
Yes, saying,
That's insane.
isn't my dog the cutest? And I was like, but did you plan on stealing my dog to keep up with this lie? Because that's not happening.
Oh my
He's
God.
not a smart guy.
No.
Because yeah, at
He
some
was
point
not
he's gonna
smart.
be
And
like,
what's
where's
this
your
guy's first
dog?
name? If we're gonna talk about Josh.
No, dog. Please don't. We don't want any legal action.
So, all right.
But I know it starts with a J also.
It does start with a J. Maybe you would stop dating people with
J's, yeah.
no
Oh
J's.
dear. Okay. Oh my gosh. And so Paul, so you are.
Then I get a message from Kelly saying, Paul, you were right. Guys I like you appreciated that you were honest.
I appreciate that you never lied to me, yes. Very open, honest.
And made a mistake on the rules. Broke
Well,
the rule.
the rules
mistake-
were,
mistake
in my
on the rules.
defense, at that point, we were already on the outs, as Kelly agreed.
Yes.
But like, it was funny that like, even in all fairness, like if she started dating a comedian, I'd be like, I'd at least
That was your rule.
Yeah,
That
I
was
did.
our
At
rule.
least be funny would be the. I mean, like.
Well, no, I would
You don't have to
expect
open
that.
So
Out of respect, I
he
would've-
gave me rules, and my
Yeah.
rule was I'm not allowed to date a comedian.
Right.
Okay.
While we're dating.
I'm pretty sure you dated forever, but okay.
Well, here's
Well, now
here's
I'll start to talk
yeah.
about these comedians and
Well,
how
here-
they're yeah.
here's what I
We're all
would
broken,
expect.
just so you know. We're
Yeah,
all-
well, she
So
knows.
am I too. It's
Yeah.
okay.
She's gonna find a funnier comedian.
Let me check. Who else is on Bumble?
Oh, I know. Come
Just
on,
kidding.
they're all on this show. They've all been on this
That's
show.
true.
So the thing that I even though we were on the outs, I would if I did know that it was the same career path, I would have been like, hey, just a heads up, I matched with this girl in South Dakota, and she's
Are you doing a
esthetician.
Muller run? Which one? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just. I mean, it was Minnesota, but I was just trying to use a different hypothetical. But I would have, in my defense, out of just respect, to be like, to not catch her off guard, because that's what I would do. And that's kind of like the same thing. Like if she started dating a comedian, be like, hey, I met this guy. What do you know about him? And I would probably give you good advice too.
Yeah. Well, and the funniest was the girl. It was like a friend of this girl, and she was like, "Yeah, he ghosted her," and I was like, "That doesn't really sound like Paul." And I
Did you
started-
ghost her?
I don't remember what happened, but I
Well,
never,
you
I didn't do anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that it was just an overzealous friend.
yeah. They were like, there was a whole. But then I got crazy messages. Yeah, I got crazy messages from the other girl too, and I was just like, wait a minute. Number one, I never did anything, and they're like, there was like drama that was trying to be
Oh, I had
stirred.
no clue.
Not from you. No, I
Yeah,
sent you the
yeah,
text.
I
I was like, this is what I'm dealing with right now.
I didn't want any part of it.
Yeah.
I don't like drama. I was actually having a good laugh about it, to be completely honest. I was like, this is.
Yeah, at that point she was in a happy place. That was when your new guy, you didn't know he was a bad person.
Yeah.
Paul, I have a question for you. How
Come on.
often after you have a breakup where you have crossed the line in some way, and then the woman goes and has another disastrous experience, and
They
then
come
they come
back.
back and they say, "Oh my God, never mind."
I've had a lot of people say that I was one of their best relationships.
That wasn't my question. Like,
What's the question again?
afterwards, have a more disastrous experience. and
Than
come back.
me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Than
I'm
you.
not a disastrous experience.
No. Okay, a disastrous experience after you.
Oh,
And it makes them appreciate you.
yeah, that happens a lot. I think because of my honesty, I mean, I think I'm fair and like I don't want to waste someone's time, but I'm also
there's
like
no,
realistic.
there's an obtuseness to him though, where
I'm getting with these fucking words.
where like it's like sometimes it feels like he's being deliberately ignorant. In a way.
I don't think so. I'm
Okay.
just ignorant. But I do appreciate that you think I'm not being honestly. I am clueless about
That
things.
they're like willfully ignorant.
Yeah. But during the blissful 1 month, it was fun, or whatever months it was. I didn't do anything disrespectful during that period.
No, and I think at the end of the day,
Other than almost giving you an STD, but that's a whole other story.
oh, have you heard his recent comedy?
Oh,
that's
follow
Oh
me on
my
Instagram,
god!
that's
I think you were working on this material. With
Yeah,
me.
it's full now.
He was
It's
very
Yeah, I was
good.
the person that he was like, oh, I just have to
I
warn
had to
you.
call
And that's
other
when I was
people,
like, this is what I'm talking about. This is why we,
Yeah.
and that was literally the start of the conversation around why I want to be monogamous. It's
I think that
not
was
because I want to like be exclusive.
Safety wise.
It's because I'm a 37-year-old woman that doesn't need to deal with stuff that 20-year-old college students and senior citizens are running around getting. Like, I don't have the
That's fair.
time to go to the doctors when I'm on the road 90% of the time to get amoxicillin or a shot of penicillin in my ass because you can keep your dick in your pants.
Fair enough. Well,
Without a comment.
and that was something you had gotten a phone call
Yeah,
That's
I had
all
a
we were
scary
dating.
situation. Yeah, it's
from a previous situation.
yeah,
Yes,
and
before.
it's a situation that you can see online, or not online. Comedy show near you. But that being said, we're past that now. What have you, based on the relationships that you've had now, what do you now know that you won't do again? What are you learning from?
What has Paul told you to do?
Whether it's me, the other guy after me, the guy before you, the guy that you walked in on, your ex, husband, like what do you now know that you've learned, the silver lining of all this?
Well, I definitely think I can see warning signs. Like if you're telling me stupid little white lies, that is a warning sign that you are a liar. And I think that's the number one thing and why I actually appreciate Paul as a friend now is because in my experience of dating, I've been lied to a lot. And from my ex-husband to other relationships, things like that. And maybe that's my one crazy thing is if you lie to me, I'm probably gonna go a little crazy on you. We're gonna have a screaming match.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, if you're gonna tell me little white lies in the beginning and it's stupid stuff, what else are you gonna lie to me about?
Well, the guys that you were dating too, weren't these guys like also like saying, oh, I can't, like they were making it sound like they wanted to be in a serious relationship too, and then they cheat on you or they
Yes.
do the stupid shit.
I mean, at this point,
Like, I don't
get
understand
cheated
that.
on so much that it's actually, I don't get upset about the cheating anymore, I get upset about the lying. I'm like,
Yeah.
why couldn't you just be honest?
Right.
So that's why I at least appreciated Paul where he was like, listen, I'm gonna go to Oklahoma or wherever it may be, and I'm probably gonna sleep with someone. And I was like, well,
I didn't
that's not what sleeping with
stop. I didn't say that. I said I never said that. The second part of that, but I did say I'm going to Oklahoma. You just make me sound like I just was like I don't have these.
No, but you.
I
no,
was like
you have-
jokingly saying.
Well, I have a question for you, and this would be
Oh,
uncomfortable.
dear.
No, but I mean, like, so
We're still-
so you're
I
seeing,
still have questions.
so I know that you are. Do you decide, like, in the middle of something, to begin not being? And the pandemic is obviously extraordinary circumstances. But at what point do you decide? Well, I'm with somebody who's fun to be with, but
Yeah.
also let's see what else is out there.
Well,
I
here,
can't
to
even
be
imagine.
fair, after my STD scare, everything's changed for me in the sense that now I'm like, it's not, and I talk about it very candidly on stage now, which is a fun chapter to,
It's cathartic.
to talk about stuff that's real on, in my shows now. But I definitely don't, it's not like that where I'm like going to cities and going on the apps and stuff like that. I don't do that anymore. It's not realistically, I don't have that desire, but and also I'm not doing as many shows, so it's also, who knows, maybe my mind will change. But yeah, I don't
If you
think,
had to do over again, would you have been searching for people on the app while you were with Kelly?
I wasn't searching for people with her.
We
that
both
was,
had
we were
our
already,
accounts open.
Yeah.
I mean,
we never
turned
closed
off
our accounts, and it was just a situation where it was just like, the way that I
But
usually
you hadn't hooked up anything. You were just starting a conversation with somebody. This woman that was in the esthetician.
well, this was months after. I think that situation happened months after we were already kind of like on the outs. Because you started working too. I think you
In
started
July.
traveling. Yeah.
And
But
it
it was-
happened like around, I think it was early September when that happened.
Yeah, and the situation was more the fact that like it was her career, you know, someone she knew, even though we weren't together or like hang out anymore, it was still like disrespectful to like I said earlier, I would have given you that. You would think that if she started dating a comedian, it'd be like, hey, I met this guy, just so she wouldn't be the last to hear about it. That's the part that I wish was came a little better, and I knew what an educator of estheticians really is. But that's that. Did I answer your question?
Yeah,
I think you knew what I did. I don't think you knew what the other girl did.
I knew what she did, but I didn't know.
What did she do? What was so confusing about
I think she was also an educator.
Yeah, she worked at like
At a school. Yeah.
She was a teacher at a school.
But I didn't know those are the same things. Okay, so going back to what you now know, what are you looking for now? Because you now know you're traveling a lot.
Yeah.
You're not going to be well, you still are now. Now it's different markets because of the pandemic.
I'm stuck driving my car, which is horrific, but whatever.
Which has heated seats. Yeah.
Yes,
But,
it does have heated seats.
What kind of car?
It's nothing special. It's a Santa Fe.
I'm looking for SUV.
I really love it.
It's a great car.
It's a
My
great car,
cousin
yeah.
Parham, who you know speaks highly of it, and he knows a lot about cars. You also.
Yeah, politics are a little weird. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. We'll talk about that.
I was
another time.
surprised.
But what
He's so nice. Go ahead.
what are you looking? What are you looking for? Because you're not physically
I think
available.
I am at least on the weekends.
Okay.
But if I could be with somebody who, like I said, I would love to have something solid at home that I could rely on. Somebody that could say like, hey, I had a bad day today, and that person could be like, okay, like, because sometimes, first off, being on the road like that is very lonely. It's very, very lonely. So I would like so I would like something solid at home that I could just rely on, and not have to worry about you talking to other girls and just like, hey, like and sometimes I'm here for a solid week every 4 to 6 weeks, and that for that 1 week I like it every single day, and otherwise just on the weekends, and just something that like I don't know, that's it.
Well, what kind of job what kind of person would want something like that?
Well,
that's
I married someone like that. You know, I mean, Steve was, but Steve's a unicorn, so it's not fair.
Well, also Steve though worked from home, and like you guys have a different arrangement.
When we started dating, Steve worked at the library. No, Steve. Steve worked at the library. He was an English major, and I think he has a.
That was the 90s.
It was the 90s.
It's different.
I'm just saying, but that doesn't mean like he's not like Unfortunately, they are far and few between.
Yeah.
I've been with him for 25 years. I'm aware, but I mean, I had the career first, and he came second, and he knew that, and so that was.
And that's
he
where
was patient, and they do exist, and it is possible.
Would you want someone that would be where you are the breadwinner in the house?
Well, but Steve had a full-time job.
No.
Steve was a VP.
I know, but I'm thinking not just about your situation. I'm just saying in general. For somebody like that, they've got to have a schedule that accommodates her schedule, right?
No, I mean Steve.
Not necessarily.
Okay, so if they're a 9-to-5 banker, like they're going to be alone for 4 weeks or 4 weeks.
Well, I'm at home every weekend.
Well, plus a lot of people that also work for the.
That's a recipe for disaster. That dude's gonna.
It is really nice to be away from. I miss hotel rooms.
Oh, they're so fun now.
Oh my god.
Nobody's there.
Oh my god.
They're so clean. They don't have servers coming all the time.
Our plexiglass is falling.
No, no fun.
Yeah, no, I do miss hotel rooms quite a bit.
What are the deal breakers now for you in terms of guys? Obviously, when you see the red flags, you know.
Lying, I think would be.
Well, you don't know what that is off the top of your
yeah.
head. What are you seeing on the apps where you're like, if I see that, I know that's.
Well, somebody that's bored and just asks me how my day is, like, please be interesting at least. Say something interesting about yourself or whatnot.
But you want that guy to exist when you get home. He wants to ask you, how was your trip? How was that
I mean,
different?
like when you're first starting to talk to somebody,
gotcha.
and that's like that basic question that they ask, and it's like you really couldn't like think of a funny joke or something to tell me. And humor is definitely a huge one for me. I love for somebody. I do so much serious work every day where I'm, somewhat putting people's lives at risk, training people in certain things that I do. And it's nice to come home and have somebody who can make me laugh after a long day and so actually when Paul and I were dating, my grandmother died of COVID.
Oh, so sorry.
Thank you. She was 94, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
like Paul, that night I came over here and Paul's like, do you want to talk about it? And I said, nope. And he was like, oh, okay, so then we started talking about comedy, and we laughed all night long. Like, that was great, and that is like.
It's gonna be hard to find another funny person out there.
I seriously
When
think
you're
I'm
one of the
obsessed
top
with
40.
Steve right now, like bringing back down. Remember that time you almost gave me an STD with bringing
Yes.
back down?
Yes.
And also you're willfully ignorant sometimes. Go ahead.
Willfully ignorant with mirth. Oh, that's the word you fucking said? Jesus Christ. Well, Kelly, thanks for clearing up everything here. I think we've all
It was lovely to
decided
talk to
here
you.
that,
And to give me insight into Paul and his person.
yeah.
And you notice I didn't ask anything too personal about like what's he like in the sack, but that's fine.
Oh, no, you can. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kelly.
I'm not gonna do it to
Tell
Kelly.
the world.
I'm not gonna.
No, that's
I'm
fine.
not gonna
Kel-
cut
Kelly,
it. You
where-
almost gave her an STD, so.
Alright, enough about that. Now I'm gonna get 50 fucking. This isn't about her. I
You
don't
didn't, by
have
the way,
one.
you didn't almost.
I
There were
don't-
concerns that it was possible.
There was a scare. Everybody's had one.
And-
I just had mine
and you didn't-
later in life.
You didn't say anything to Kelly until you knew for sure, but you wanted to make sure that
No,
she
he
was.
said
I
something to me
told-
right away.
I told everybody.
Yeah.
I called a lot of people.
Right.
I was
I'm
scared.
saying you were responsible. You wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that everybody else was
Fuck yeah, I'm
frozen
scared.
in their tracks.
Like, we always wear condoms.
Yeah, that's true. Safety. Safety first.
First, yeah.
I'm wearing one right now. I wear one.
Fair enough. I carry one with me. I've been married for 20 years. It must say carry it for you. Go ahead.
Kelly, where can people find you other than on Hinge?
I'm on Instagram at Kells the SD. That's my Instagram handle.
It was lovely talking.
KLS the SD, ESTHID.
Excellent.
I really do sincerely hope you find what you're looking for. You know that
Me
about
too.
me. I'm always, when that situation happened with that dude, we talked about it and I was like, on your side 100%. Because you were worried that you're like, why should I check? Is it bad that I checked his phone? I'm like, absolutely not. That guy's a dumbass. So,
Well, yeah, you know, it's not my normal MO to like break into somebody's phone, but there were so many other signs that I'm not even talking about that I was like, I have to do this, and it's not my normal.
no, he was lying, and you're right, so it doesn't matter.
And
My code is 1111 in case anyone wants to know. I don't give a fuck if what you're gonna steal from my phone. But,
Is it really?
I think it's either 4444 or 1111.
Alright, good.
Or maybe it's 13. I change it every once in a while.
Excellent.
All right, thanks, Kelly.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Patti,
Thank
so much
you.
for coming. It's so
Of
good to
course.
see you in
I'm
person
sorry
again.
that I wasn't able to.
No, it's fine. It all worked out. Thank you all for listening to another episode. Please subscribe, review, and tell your friends. And email me if you have any questions. Goldford@gmail.com.
Which STD was
Yes.
this? Yeah.
Goodbye.
Awesome.
That was
great.
awesome.
Yay.